I'm Dominika and I'm the CEO of wbija, and I'd like to welcome you to our episode interview with Review today, in which we will be hosting Saman Darkan, the CTO and co-founder of Kitopi, one of the leaders in food tech space. Sam, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We are so glad to have you here. We had already the chance to meet each other during the pandemic, where we were hosting you at a virtual founders breakfast at one of the episodes ran by wbija. So I'm glad that we can finally meet face to face. And that was one of the most popular episodes at that time. And we decided that it would be nice to continue the conversation and ask you what has changed since that time. Because when we met, you were at the, 60 million round and B series. And now you're at the C series and with a far massive, bigger round. So I'm sure that a lot has changed. But for those of our viewers that have not seen the former episode or the series, then it would be great to learn more about Kitopi, like what's your mission, what's the story behind, and it would be great to learn a bit more so that we can cover the basics and dig more afterwards.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me here. I really enjoyed that conversation last time. I think it was about a year and a half ago. So a lot has changed since then, but the mission remains the same. We're on a mission to satisfy the world's appetite. Now, what has changed is, previously, the way I would have described this over to you, I would have said we're on a mission to satisfy the world's appetite, and we're doing this by scaling food through our network of cloud kitchens. I would have emphasized our cloud kitchens, right? Today, I tell you our multi-brand restaurants. And that shift happened because over the course of our learnings, we realized we were restricting ourselves by just narrowing down our focus only on food delivery orders, when in fact the customers do want that food accessible offline as well, for takeaway, takeout, or just for fast casual dining. So in that sense, the infrastructure has evolved into a hybrid infrastructure where you do have cloud kitchens in the back, but you also have an offline channel of QSR and takeouts.
So does it mean that you're now in a, let's say, offline business of regular restaurants, where there's this combination between, regular restaurants as we know it, plus this delivery chain or ordering out of home option?
Yeah, so in the sense that we do cater to both customers, offline and online, yes, in that sense. But what we've done very different is the consolidation of these restaurants.
Okay.
Now, the biggest issue with this industry was that the food service sector is very, very large. And the online channel of food delivery is growing very, very fast, but it's still a relatively small percentage of that overall area.
How did pandemia and the current crisis, economic crisis that we see, is affecting those trends? Like, are the people more keen to order still from home, or more desire to go out and try spend time more in the physical spaces?
So the pandemic accelerated that behavior of ordering online, which is still a very, very low penetration. It's about 10 to 15% of the whole food service sector. So that acceleration occurred. Now, yeah, as soon as the lockdown opened up, people wanted to go out in the same sense. But food delivery orders remain on the rise. And a big part of what we've done as Kitopi is a lot of those businesses were operating in silo. And what we've done is we've consolidated all, and we've been able to demonstrate a larger amount of efficiency by consolidating the entire operations across those businesses. So since we last spoke, we've grown to 200 kitchens. We have over 200 brands. We're in 5 markets, headquartered out of Dubai in the UAE.
Still mostly Middle East, or have you expanded also to other markets?
No, we're MENA focused as of today. Okay. And there's so much depth in the MENA region that there is so much room for growth where we are.
Okay. But you once mentioned some expansion plans to Asia. Is that still on the agenda, or? So,
we never say never, but especially today with the economic landscape and how we want to be very responsible about that growth plan. And the fact of the matter is there's just so much depth in our existing markets. I mean, we're in single-digit penetrations in terms of percentage. And there's so much room to grow where we are. And in many ways, that's easier growth for us because you're leveraging an existing base. But at some point, as we do continue to expand, yeah, we do want to revisit expanding outside the MENA region as well.
Okay. And can you tell me, how's the technology developing, or what's differentiates you from other players on the market? Are there any other players? So, I know that you are one of the leaders in that space, but are there any competitors that you're facing, or how's the technology of yours different from what others are offering?
So the technology we invest in is a critical part to our ability to expand fast and to operate efficiency. What our technology seeks to, as a purpose, is really to elevate the customer experience, right, while driving efficiency. Mm-hmm. And are there others in the market? Look, the cloud kitchen saw a big buzz. There were a lot of cloud kitchen players that opened up everywhere. But I think what distinguishes us is we've really tailored our technology across multiple brands in a single kitchen that remains true today. And we're just really tailoring it even further to our needs and to our customers' needs.
If we're talking about the technology, Krakow Tech Hub plays a very important role on that roadmap. So can you tell us, you're now 100 plus engineers here in Krakow, what type of qualities you value the most and how you assess, the quality of engineers here? So
building out the Tech Hub out of Poland was probably one of the best decisions we made.
I'm glad to hear.
Why? I'd say, well, first and foremost, on the most basic level, the engineers are just amazing, great coders. Let's just start there. And if that's not enough, what has shown to be a massive asset are personality traits. Our engineers critique hard, really hard. I think of yesterday in terms of how hard they critique, and that has shown to ensure that we solve the right problems, we harden our products in the right way, and it makes us better for it.
I still remember how shocked you were, what type of culture shock that was when you first met some of the engineers in Warsaw during your first visits in Poland, and how they were, challenging or your ideas, product, roadmap, etc.
It was a culture shock, right?
Exactly. So I wonder, because now you're having several offices in Middle East. You have a very big office here in Krakow, and I've also learned that you established a new office in Denmark. So how are you managing all those culture differences within the team, and whether this acts to your advantage, or how do you shape this people culture in such a differentiated and diverse environment?
Look, it's a very good question. Our team in Denmark is still relatively small. We started earlier this year. There are about 5 people as of now. But you have your company culture that you're trying to build, and you hope that culture transcends all locations, right? But there is a national culture that is very real, and the best you can do is really blend your company's culture with it. Working with Danish people now, and Polish, and then of course across the Middle East, they're very different. There's lots of differences. There are some similarities
Can you tell us the main differentiator? So
like in Denmark, for example, I've learned in the hard way, right? They can be very, very clear and direct about what they will and will not do, right? So I remember we have our head of technical robotics, Ricky. I absolutely adore him. And when we were starting our relationship, I had a bit of I have a startup mindset, and it's quite common for people to work outside of their boundaries and their core disciplines.
There's amazing history of entrepreneurship. I always like to hear about how it all also started for Kitopi, what the value it was for your co-founders to have you on board, and to learn from also your previous experiences as an entrepreneur. So I believe that this is also some important factor are in a company culture that you already have those former
So I'm used to people working outside of a certain boundary. So when I met Ricky was very clear about, I will focus on the technical and the robotics, and I will not do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and everything outside of it. Awesome. You know, by the end of the session, I'm like, please, can you just go to the mailbox and pick up the mail? But you know, it made the conversation better because I understood right after that this is the domain, this is where he's going to focus, and if anything, it sets the right expectations. So I learned that. I also noticed that they're very optimistic people. I found very optimistic, but at least our team doesn't express it with enthusiasm, right? Like I was just there right before my trip to Poland, and I was looking at all the robotics that was maturing and manifesting, and I was literally jumping up and down in excitement, right? I was so excited, and they were more like, yep, we can get that done. Yes. Yep, it's going to work, right? And I was like,
that's true. I also work a bit with Danish clients, and I also have that feeling about this mentality that they're not so emotional as other, let's say.
I've also learned that they prefer recognition and praise more privately, at least my team, right? And wide recognition isn't as comfortable. These are, and again, I don't know how much of it is nationalistic culture and how much of it is just my team, but I've become more, I'll say, conscious and aware of it to really find a leadership style that ensures that I work well and bring the best out of people. And I feel we've done a decent job. Here in Poland, I have to acknowledge that a big part of our ability to do this well was my VP of engineering. His name is Marcin. And he helped really show me that way and how's the best way to communicate with the team here and to get the most value out of them.
Yes, I'm sure that it's always great to have this type of key person here on site to supervise when you're just watching everything remotely, right? So I don't know. Do you because there's like a lot of things that let's say improved according to your growth in the recent months, especially the recent series round that you had, because when we met that was around B series, 60 million of US dollars on the account, and now it's like the C round was 400 million, and I read that it has been extended with another 300 million, and you became a unicorn with 1.55 billions of US dollars of evaluation. So, this, on one hand, it's probably causing some challenges if it comes to growing the company, but on the other hand, you probably have some bold plans ahead of you. So it would be great to understand where you're heading and how you we're also structuring or restructuring your processes because of that massive round.
Like when you raise so much money like that, there's a sheer sense of responsibility to do what's right with it. So we've been very fortunate that we've had amazing investors that trusted us to really pursue our mission.
And that's how it is to have SoftBank venture fund.
And then they've been absolutely awesome. They've been absolutely awesome. They're super. They're very resourceful. They give us what we need. We raise problems. They help us solve them. So in general, we have a really good mix of investors overall, and that's been very, very helpful. What are we doing? We're persevering with our mission. I'd say first and foremost, we're on the tech side. We're maturing our production model. We're at an exciting moment where this production model is the combination of great software and now hardware and robotics, which is going to bring our efficiency levels to new heights where we're going to optimize labor efficiency.
Can you tell us how you're utilizing robots for?
So the aim in robotics, our goal is to automate a lot of the repetitive tasks within the kitchen. We refer to these as in-kitchen logistics. A lot of people hear us doing robotics, they go, oh, are they going to quickly start automating the cooking of food? I'm sure that's what darted to your mind. But that's not what we're focusing on. And there are loads of great players working in that space, and we're simply looking at the ones that are maturing to a more functional solution, and we'll adopt them. We're focusing on the movement of food within it. So everything to do with identifying the food, sorting it, packing it, dispatching it to a driver, those workflows, which is close to 15 to 20% of our labor in our latest version of our kitchens, that can be automated. And a lot of those tech stacks, those solutions are available in the market. They just need to be tailored to a different format. And that's what we've decided to focus our effort in.
This is definitely a trend, because I'm also operating with one of the company that I work with in this more, digital space, where we create like even digital twins of particular physical spaces, and I see a lot of trends related to this automation of the repeatable processes, and also let's say monitoring of some logistics process in order to improve it. So I definitely follow what you're saying. Okay, so can you tell us like what would be the role of the Krakow hub on this further journey, and if like what's the ambition goal, let's say ambitious goal to achieve for the next, 1 year or 2 years to come?
So the role of our team here in Krakow over the next 2 years is to really mature our operating system, our what we call SCOS, our Smart Kitchen Operating System. And there's a lot we're doing we're in the shift of moving from a startup to a scale-up. So there's a lot that's being done on the compliance front. But beyond that, we're also taking the efficiency in the kitchen to whole new levels. We're doing a lot of great things with data in the sense of how to meal plan orders in a much more productive way, and really on the focus of optimizing our labor costs, but first and foremost, elevating the customer experience. So where there is a complaint, there is an opportunity to find a way to use technology to eliminate that. And on another note, we're also looking to delight customers and using data to create a more personalized experience to anyone that orders from us, irrespective of the channel they order from us, to ensure that we delight you with orders, with menu items that we know you would like, and to complement them, and to really just drive loyalty.
What were the critical success factors on your journey so far, and how have you managed to become a unicorn within 3 years? So if you were to give some tips to other founders, or and highlight something that was done properly on your journey, or what type of factors have influenced the most, then that would be great for us to hear.
So it's a really great question. So a few things come to my mind. First is solving the right problem. I think we made a very good decision in selecting the right problem to solve. It's a very big market, and the food delivery industry has a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and it's also in big demand, and it's in growing. So I think selecting the right problem is probably the first thing that an entrepreneur should obsess over. Problem. And then second to that is this notion of being focused, right? We actually, our last annual KitCon, what we call KitCon, our annual company event, was themed focus, right? Because quite often what happens, especially when you raise such large rounds, is you get distracted. So picture us, we're in the food industry, and while we were growing, you get a lot of ideas, right? We do this, why don't you also do that? We have a supply chain, why don't we also serve businesses? We have food, let's open up a grocery store. We have a lot of brands, why don't you be an aggregator? And sometimes these ideas can be tempting to the thought, but if you engage them, and especially if you engage them too early, they can really derail you. They can derail you to the point of no return.
Do you feel any pressure, from your current investors into selecting this type of roadmap now?
No. I feel like I think we've had the good fortune of having investors who have been very supportive of the choices that we've made. They guide, they consult, but they don't tell us you have to go there. You got to do this. So, and throughout that journey with focus, we've been distracted. There have been moments where we tried this, pandemic happened, let's try a grocery store. So it does happen. But I think we've done a good job with refocusing, when those issues happen relatively fast. So that's I'll say second. Third, team. You know, people create great businesses. You know, people solve great problems, and depending on what sort of runway you have as an entrepreneur, you might not have the luxury of making a lot of mistakes with the selection of your team. So you got to be very careful. You got to make sure that team is the right competence, the right skill sets, the right mix of skill sets. You need like-minded but different thinkers, right, to give you different perspectives. So that's a third thing I would emphasize. And a fourth would be culture. They say culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's a famous quote, and I can't agree with that anymore. It is very, very, very important that you ensure that your team share some value. That usually it comes in the form of values, and you need to PR your values and demonstrate them and role model them in every shape and form. So very, very important part, because it brings everything together. On a personal note, I can say what has helped, and I would say probably the leadership team, shares this as well, is we've had to reinvent ourselves across this journey. The version of me from year 1 is not the same version of year 2 and year 3 and year 4. And
that's good, because you're growing together with the company. So
because what you did then to get you there isn't necessarily what's going to get you to the next level. And really maturing that mindset and understanding what works and making great decisions. That's essentially what it's all about. Making good decisions is something that you literally need to configure to, depending on the stage your business is in.
Yeah, so again, like we could talk hours, and I still feel that we haven't saturated the topic. So thank you so much for dedicating some time during your short trip here to Krakow. And I want to give you some space for bonding with your team here in Krakow, so that you can, improve this company culture still and build it personally here. So thank you so much for being our guest, and I hope you will be in other episodes in the future and accept our invitation next time. So
I most definitely will. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Enjoy.
Take care.